It is just a very emotional scene out here. Since we've been here, many people have been screaming and crying. But take a look behind me. This is the scene of what we have now. This is Fleetwood Drive in South Jackson, and reports show one person is dead and another was shot at a house here. And since the last time we talked, the crime scene unit has showed up, but we also know the coroner has been called to the scene, but she has yet to arrive yet.
June 7, 2022. Jackson, Mississippi. In the stillness before dawn, a quiet home on Fleetwood Drive became the site of an unthinkable crime. A young mother, shot in her own bed. Not during a burglary. Not in crossfire. But by the man who once claimed to love her. Her name was Terrenia Leandrea Jackson. She was 26 years old. A daughter. A sister. A devoted mother. And in the eyes of one man, she was possession. A possession he could not bear to lose. But who was Terrenia, really? Before the headlines. Before the horror. To understand what was lost that morning, we must understand what existed. Born on May 12, 1996, in the heart of Jackson, Mississippi, Terrenia came into the world as the second of 8 children. Her childhood was filled with the noise and warmth of a crowded household, a place where togetherness was sacred, and survival was a shared effort. She grew up in a family rooted in faith and resilience. The local church wasn't just a place of worship. It was an extension of home. It was there that Terrenia learned patience, service, and a sense of quiet strength that would define her adulthood. She wasn't the loudest in the room. But when she spoke, people listened. There was a stillness to her. A rare kind of authenticity. And people felt it. Through the halls of Provini High School, Terrenia moved with a calm self-assurance. She didn't chase popularity, but she had presence. A friend once said, she didn't need to be seen. You just felt when she was there. After high school, life came fast. Responsibility hit early. Terrenia joined the workforce at UPS, where she earned a reputation not just for showing up, but for showing up with intention. She worked not for ambition, but for stability. Every dollar. Every double shift. It was all for one person, her daughter, Zorencia. Terrenia's love for her little girl was transformative. In her, she saw the future. The bedtime stories, the laughter in the kitchen, the traditions passed down. All of it was a promise to Zorencia. Your life will be better than mine. Her mother would later say, every sacrifice Terrenia made, every single one, was for that little girl. Terrenia didn't measure joy in wealth or status. She found beauty in everyday rituals, weekend shopping trips, Sunday dinners, spontaneous road trips to nowhere in particular. Her laughter could disarm a room. And even in the face of life's grind, Terrenia created moments of peace. She didn't have much, but she had resourcefulness, and she had heart. But happiness, for Terrenia, would never exist in a vacuum. Because in the shadows of her life, something was watching. Terrenia's past relationship with Zarian Brent started like many others. Shared circles. Common interests. Nothing unusual, until it was. Friends noticed it first. She spoke less. Smiled less. When Brent was around, there was a tension, an unease that couldn't be explained, only felt. She changed, a family member said. She wasn't herself anymore. The timeline of their breakup remains blurred, lost in conflicting accounts. But what was clear? Terrenia had moved on. Brent had not. Brent's background hinted at deeper issues, drug charges, firearm violations. No overt signs of domestic violence. But the red flags were there. Boundaries meant little to him. Control meant everything. In the months following their breakup, Terrenia built a new life. She found new love. Stability. Hope. But for Brent, her happiness became a threat. Her independence, a betrayal. Calls increased. Messages grew more urgent. She often ignored them. But behind the silence, a storm was gathering. Brent's obsession wasn't loud, It was silent. Not explosive, yet. But constant. And dangerous. What made Brent so deadly was how invisible his rage remained. No restraining orders. No recorded threats. Just a slow, toxic buildup of resentment. And then, the trigger. Terrenia's new relationship became the final fracture. To Brent, it wasn't over. It could never be over. Because in his mind, she didn't have the right to move on. And so, he decided to end it. Not the relationship. Her life. In the early hours of June 7th, Brent made a series of chilling choices. He armed himself. He waited for night. And when the world was asleep, he moved. He knew where she lived. He knew who was with her. And he knew what he was about to do. Brent didn't knock. He didn't yell. He forced entry, silently. He navigated the home like he'd done it before. Straight to her bedroom. Inside, Terrenia lay sleeping. Next to her, her boyfriend. What happened next was fast. Focused. Deliberate. He raised the gun and fired. Multiple shots. Targeted. Terrenia was hit at close range. Her boyfriend tried to intervene, but it was too late. She was already dying. This wasn't passion. This was execution. Brent fled, leaving behind a scene soaked in blood and silence. Neighbors, awakened by the gunshots, called 911. Paramedics arrived quickly. But not quickly enough. Terrenia was pronounced dead at the scene. Her boyfriend survived. His testimony would later help piece together the horror of that morning. One life ended. Another shattered. And a child left motherless. The morning light revealed the full horror of what had happened inside that house on Fleetwood Drive. Detectives marked bullet paths, picked up spent shell casings, and took careful photos of every detail. Bloodstains, shattered glass, and the scattered remains of what used to be a normal life, all frozen in time. Neighbors stood behind the police tape, stunned and silent. Some whispered. Others cried. Many couldn't believe it. The young mother they'd seen just days ago smiling in her driveway was now gone. Terrenia's boyfriend, still in the hospital, gave police the break they needed. He told them who did it. The name came out quick, Zarian Brent. A name that instantly changed the course of the investigation. As word spread through Jackson, the reaction was fast and deeply felt. Friends and family turned her front lawn into a memorial. Flowers, candles, photos, and handwritten notes saying things like, "You were loved," and "We'll never forget you." Terrenia wasn't just a victim. She was a mother, a sister, a friend. She was known for lifting people up, for her kind heart, and the way she always put her daughter first. And now, that little girl would grow up without her. Community groups working with abuse survivors reported more calls than usual in the days that followed. Her story shook people. Some who had been staying silent finally asked for help. But while the city grieved, law enforcement had a job to do. Brent had vanished. After firing those fatal shots, he ran. A citywide manhunt was underway. Police knew he was dangerous, and desperate. Investigators worked fast. They checked his old hangouts, talked to people he knew, and followed every possible lead. But Brent had a head start. And someone was helping him. For 2 days, he stayed ahead of the law. Moving from place to place, hiding in the shadows. But on June 9th, just 48 hours after Terrenia's murder, the hunt ended. The U.S. Marshals, working alongside local officers, found him. He wasn't alone. It turned out Vita Valentine, someone close to him, had helped Brent stay hidden. She gave him rides. Let him lay low. Gave him just enough time to try and disappear. But helping a killer hide doesn't go unpunished. Valentine was arrested too, charged as an accessory after the fact. A reminder that covering for someone in a murder case is a crime all on its own. Brent was taken to court. His bond? Denied. He wasn't going anywhere. Prosecutors laid out what they had, the shell casings, the blood patterns, the survivor's story. Everything pointed in one direction: this was a planned, deliberate killing. In Mississippi, that meant capital murder, the most serious charge the state can bring. If found guilty, Brent could face life without parole, or worse. Terrenia's family showed up to every court date. They sat in those hard benches, holding each other, waiting. Waiting for the system to give them something back. Maybe not justice, but at least, accountability. As of now, the case hasn't ended. Brent remains behind bars, waiting for trial. Lawyers keep building their cases. But for the people who loved Terrenia, the hardest part isn't the wait, it's the silence she left behind. Her death didn't just break a family. It exposed cracks in the system meant to protect people like her. Brent had a record. He'd faced gun and drug charges before. He wasn't supposed to be able to get a weapon, but he did. That gun, in his hands, cost a woman her life. The truth is, our systems only act after someone's been hurt, not before. Without past reports of violence, there was nothing on paper to warn officials. And that's the real danger. So many women, like Terrenia, go unseen. Trapped in toxic, controlling relationships that don't leave bruises. Not yet. But the signs are there. Friends. Family. Neighbors. They might notice the red flags: constant jealousy, isolation, anger when boundaries are set. But without knowing what to do, most people say nothing. That silence can be deadly. But there is hope. There are resources, hotlines, shelters, legal help. Safe places that offer protection and planning for people ready to leave. The key is knowing they exist, and being able to reach them. Terrenia's story has now become more than a tragedy. It's a warning. A wake-up call. And, in some ways, a mission. Her daughter, Terrenia, grows up now surrounded by those who loved her mother. People who will tell her stories of a woman full of warmth, courage, and love. Her memory lives on, not just in her child, but in the hard conversations her death has forced us to have. If we want to honor Terrenia, we do it by fixing what failed her. That means stronger systems. Real background checks. Better training for communities to spot early signs of danger. And louder voices that speak up, not after the fact, but when the first signs show. If you or someone you know is in danger, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE. If this story moved you, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Your voice could help someone find the courage to escape a dangerous situation before it's too late. Leave a comment and tell us how your community is standing up against domestic violence. Let's keep this conversation going. Terrenia Jackson deserved better. And so does every person still out there, silently hoping someone will notice.